Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Welcome to our show this evening. My name is Chris Barker, and this is Sunday Night Indies. With me this evening is the wonderful and talented Nafeesa Monroe. Nafeesa is an experienced actor, both on the screen and on the stage, and I am honored to have her join me this month.
Oh, thanks, Chris. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. Tonight we have Hebrews Campbell live in studio, and we're going to review his film Skype Dad tonight. We're going to watch it, and then we'll be able to ask some questions and do a little talk back with this talented young filmmaker.
Yes, all right. So we are changing our format up a little bit this month due to February being Black History Month. Throughout a tumultuous 2020, I was asked by many friends how they could help people of color as allies in our ongoing struggle to obtain what I will generally call justice. And that's kind of a weird phrasing, but the best way I could come up with. I continue to struggle to answer that question in a way that I believe will lead to positive and sustainable action. But I believe that part of the answer is that more time has to be spent understanding what people of color are concerned with and how we experience the world. And the best way to do that is to appreciate our art. Throughout our nation's history, people of color have created art to express their reality. It's interesting. Nafeesa and I both independently decided to spend more time this February watching works by both Black and brown filmmakers. And Nafeesa focused on some films of the past and recent past, while I focused on a few films that came out over the past few months. So I'm going to start and have Nafeesa talk about a few things, some of the films that she watched. And what I want to know a little bit about is why you made that one of your missions for the month, and then talk a little bit about some of the films that you watched.
Well, I mean, I think as a Black person, when it's Black History Month, there's always so much going around. Everybody's, look at this scientist, look at this historian, look, they're giving us, there's just a lot of information going around. And I was trying to find a way that I could be active and participate in the uplifting and giving voice to artists of the African diaspora in the States, while at the same time, like in my everyday activity. And something I do every day is I turn on that Netflix, or I turn on that Prime or that Hulu, right? And I watch TV, or I watch movies, or I watch documentaries, or whatever. And also I'm also online looking at people's websites, looking at art. And so I made a conscious decision, and I invited all of my Facebook friends to attempt to engage with art that was the original that was created by Black and brown folks. I didn't always get into the created spot. Like sometimes it was starring them, or sometimes it was directed by them, or executive produced by folks of color. But it was really interesting because it starts to shift your perspective a little bit. And what I found also is that my algorithms are changing. I start to get more ads for more content that is created by people who look like me. And that's exciting and fun. And I love that as well. So a couple of the films that I loved, they're older flicks because they're Netflix. I think most of them were on Netflix for me. The Photograph, starring Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield, and that was written and directed by a Black woman, and it's just a love story. It's just a beautiful, artistic kind of. It's just a beautiful love story. I love it. I really enjoyed that film. There's an older French film called The African Doctor, which is really, really beautiful. It's the story of an African doctor who's French. Him and his family moved to a small village and in France. And I think it's set in the, I want to say 60s. I don't take my dates for actual.
Okay.
But anyways, they experience racism. They're in a small village in France that's not used to having any Black people at all. And it's kind of just what the struggle is for for brown people in other parts of the world. And I thought that was, and if, it ends very well. You stay
Does it really?
stuff and it ends happy. So that for me is also a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
A comedy, a total comedy, The Lovebirds.
Oh, really? Okay.
With Issa Rae. It's silly. It's one of those that you can kind of have on in the background, and then you hear something and you like hear the fight and you're like, oh, that was funny. And then, so it wasn't one that you got to sit down and like get your popcorn out. It's
right.
But there were really enjoyable moments about that. And then the last one, did I mention this one, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind? I don't know if I mentioned that.
I don't think you mentioned that one yet.
But that's an older film as well. But oh my goodness, is that beautiful. Based on a true story about a young boy who's trying to save his the farming in his village. And it's Chiwetel Ejiofor.
That's close.
I apologize, Chiwetel, if I messed that up. But it was his directorial debut, and he stars in it, and it's just a beautiful story, and it ends well. And those were the things that I engaged with this month.
That's really nice. No, that's really nice. And I think it was interesting. You named some names of people that were in some of the movies I watched as well. Keith Stanfield has been in a number of films over the past couple of years. He's really becoming what I'd consider a rising actor, and he's really starting to show his chops. And I'm really excited about the progression in his career. Did you find any common themes in the movies that you watched?
Common themes. Ooh, you didn't tell me you were going to ask me that question.
Hey. Every night Indies.
Well, you know what I one of the other little personal stipulations that I've tried to engage with is I don't know if it's feel good movies or like everyday movies, but to try to avoid like leaning the trauma movies, right? Because I've lived a lot of it. I've been in a lot of it in real life. I've watched a lot of it my whole life. And I have found that as I grow, I want to continue to support the everyday joy movies. And so I think that a lot of what these all had in common was that there was beautiful joy present throughout in all of those movies that I watched. Yeah,
I think that's right. And I would argue that it's really hard, especially during the month of February, to watch those kinds of movies because generally speaking, during Black History Month, you see the movies of the struggle, the pain. And to be honest, that's a lot of the stuff that I ended up watching this month during my my quest for knowledge. I think in my case, over the past few years, it feels like many people, including most people of color, have felt an increased pressure, perhaps on a number of fronts. It's just there, and it's kind of a weight. And that weight has begun to be reflected in some of the art and some of the films that are being created.
Absolutely. So what were your films?
Yep. So this month I chose to watch some newer films.
Okay.
Creators, and I started with a few films that premiered at Sundance last month. I was fortunate enough to buy a pass and to do that. And two of the films that came out then that I watched were Judah and the Black Messiah, which is now playing on HBO Max, and The Summer of Soul, which was picked up by Hulu, and it'll air at some point in the future. So that was a good movie, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a second. But then I also watched One Night in Miami, which is currently on Amazon Prime. And then just recently, I think it came out over the weekend, I watched The United States versus Billie Holiday, which is now playing on Hulu. And I think the first thing I noticed is that I subscribe to a lot of streaming services. I didn't realize that I had all of them. But I think I own every streaming service that's out there. So people are getting my money. But I'll talk a little bit about some of the films. I think the films United States versus Billie Holiday and the film Judah and the Black Messiah both tell the story of what lengths the U.S. government has historically been willing to go to silence Black voices. And when I talk to people that want to be allies or those types of things, I think they struggle to understand why some blacks feel the way they do about people, government who are supposed to be here to protect. In the movie, The United States versus Billie Holiday, basically the FBI saw Lady Day's song "Strange Fruit" as dangerous and subversive, rather, because it evoked metaphors to describe the lynching of black people.
Right.
Yeah, and the song evoked such a powerful response in many people of all races that it was decided that she needed to be silenced. And it was kind of stunning to see the lengths that they went, because you can't actually prosecute anyone for singing a song. So they went after her relentlessly on drug charges, and it really was an interesting watch for anybody that just wants to see that type of thing.
Now, who plays Billie Holiday?
Andra Day is her name, and she did a phenomenal job.
Oh, good.
It's always interesting in some of these movies, and the same is true of Judah and the Black Messiah, which I'll talk about next, but you don't know what part of the story is true and what part of the story is there because you need to have a story.
Right.
Most people's stories and lives don't lay out that fit in a 2-hour format, but
mine does. Mine is all ready for the 2 hour.
Well, I hope so. I hope I get to see it someday. And so you don't know the relationships, some of the things, whether they're true or not, but I thought ultimately it was a powerful movie. Okay. In the movie Judah and the Black Messiah, a lot of the same thing. In the wake of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's assassinations, blacks were looking for a new leader to express their concerns, and the FBI was looking to make sure that there was never anyone that would replace those two. And Fred Hampton, who led Chicago's Black Panther chapter, was seen as many as that next leader that was willing to step up. And the movie showed how the FBI pursued him and eventually had him killed before he was 21. And it was really, it was probably one of the best acted movies I've seen. Lakeith Stanfield was in it. I'm forgetting the name of the other gentleman that was in it, but he was in Get Out.
I was going to say it, the young man from Get Out, right?
Yep, they just destroyed that movie. It was one of the most powerful movies that I've seen in a while. But they're important because they start to explain the skepticism that some black folks have. And some of these concerns will have to be addressed because people will always be thinking them, and there won't be that trust until that's out there.
How do you think people how do you manage the whatever anger you feel after watching movies like that? How do you transmute that?
It's really twofold, right? I think first of all, you kind of know some of these things have happened. Yeah. And so it's not new news. It's not, oh, geez, this happened. And so I try my best to try to look at the positive, that the message is getting out and more people are there. But certainly there's just a frustration and an anger that comes out when you see these types of things, common themes happening over and over and over again. And so it's very, it can be very challenging.
Yeah. So, it's one of the things that for me, I'm like, I always wonder, sometimes I wish at the end of the movie, they would be like, and these are the things you can do to take action.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because I think a lot of people have anger and frustration and feelings, and they don't know, there's no easy place to put it. And so I think to the degree that there is some instruction, which will never happen, I think it would be nice.
Yeah.
The next film I watched was One Night in Miami, and it told a fictional account of a meeting of Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, and Muhammad Ali sometime in February 1964. Now, the four men actually did get together on one night. It was the night after Muhammad Ali won his title from Sonny Liston. The film is based on a play written by Kemp Powers, and it really tried to show how four of that time's most famous black men all chose different paths to use their influence to move people forward. And it focused a lot, I think, on the contrasts between Malcolm X, who was more militant and had stronger messages to say, and Sam Cooke, who was ultimately a soul singer singing love songs, but doing a lot of things in order to empower his people by making sure that they got credit for writing songs that would make them rich. It was interesting. We had Muhammad Ali, famous boxer, Jim Brown, the most famous football player at the time, and you had Malcolm X. And Sam Cooke was really the only one, and the movie pointed this out, that was actually working for himself. He was in charge of his money. He wasn't relying on anyone to give it to him, because he was the only one that was in charge of his situation. But because it was love songs, it came off as kind of it was an interesting play there. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. What do you think that it, I know there was a lot of kind of discussion about how it worked as a play versus how it worked as a movie. Do you think it translated well? I mean, I didn't see it as a play, but
I didn't see the play either, but it was a very powerful movie. I think, obviously, when you make a movie, you want to expand it. You can use more settings. You're not limited by a stage, but the audience is more demanding, so to speak. You can leave a TV show and you can criticize a film in a way that, if you sit down for a play, you kind of know a pacing and those types of things. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of a difference there.
Yeah.
But it was very compelling. The last movie I want to recommend is Summer of Soul. And it was played at Sundance, and it won both the Grand Jury Prize and this Audience Prize. So it was seen as probably the most popular film there. It was a documentary, and it really told the story of the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival, which I never even knew took place, but it took place over a 6-week period during the summer of 1969, which was one of the more tumultuous periods in this country's history. Mm-hmm. And what they did that I thought was really interesting was they interwove music of the time with interviews with people that talked about some of the real issues that were going on. And it did a good job of him highlighting the similarities between 1969's cultural issues and the problems that we have today. Questlove, who is the musical director for, I want to say...
Jimmy Kimmel?
I think it's either Kimmel or Fallon.
No, Fallon. I think it's Fallon. Yeah, it's Fallon.
He actually was the director of the movie, and he did a phenomenal job. To be honest, yeah, I went because some of the people that were at this festival were Stevie Wonder, B.B. King, the Staple Singers, the Fifth Dimension, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and some other artists that I remember from long ago. But once I was there, I was really drawn in by the conversation and the dialogue and just the success that these guys had. It's interesting. 1969 was when Woodstock happened. Obviously, everyone has heard of Woodstock. Nobody really has heard of this. So I thought it was nice that it got out there, and I'm sure it'll be on Hulu fairly soon. And it's really an interesting watch. Did
they have footage from that time period as well?
Oh, no. It was all footage. So they showed the performances. They showed all those artists singing one or two songs, and they interspersed it with interviews. It was interesting. 1969 is when we started sending people to the moon, and there was a lot of dialogue at the time that I wasn't probably aware of, didn't know. But why are we spending all that money when we've got all these problems right here in America and in New York City? Why don't we spend some of that here? So it's really an interesting watch. It was. It would fit the joyful to watch category that you were looking at, but it really told a really good message. And I think that's what the best movies do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Thinking, right? They get you thinking.
They absolutely get you thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we talked a little bit about some movies that we saw, but now we want to bring in our featured guest, which is Hebrews Campbell. And so we'll bring him into the studio.
All right.
All right. Woo!
Woo! What's up, Hebrews?
Nothing much. How you guys doing?
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Hebrews Campbell. I'm a third-year film BFA student at the Rochester Institute of Technology. I'm crafting and directing and cinematography.
All right. Fantastic. We're really honored to have you here today. And before we screen your film, tell us a little bit more about yourself, kind of your background, why you decided on this path.
So this film is based on a true story on my life. So I'm a first generation American. Both of my parents were born in the Bahamas. My mom got neutralized, I think, when she was in high school, but my dad was still an undocumented. Throughout, I'm guessing, when I was in 6th, 7th grade. So I think between August to December of my 6th grade year, just transitioning to middle school, my dad got deported back to the Bahamas. So that left myself, my mom, and my brother and sister here in the United States, in Texas. We lived in Texas at the time. So that the film kind of follows kind of my journey in the film. I didn't really write any siblings or anything in the film. One, because I felt like I didn't really consult them to figure out what their story was. And two, I didn't really have time in the film for that.
Right.
So this version that we're actually showing today is like the second version of this. I made it for my fiction workshop class. So there's restraints. So I think it had to be like 8 minutes, but I was able to talk to the professor to get to like it's that now. She wasn't letting me go above that. But I made an earlier version, which is kind of not. It's kind of like this one, but there's a lot of stuff I saw that after watching it I wanted to change, and we came back and I did it for another class, and we wrote the script and found some new actors. But yeah, that's.
Why did you choose a path in film?
Oh, I think I was in like in 8th grade. We had a project to do. Our teacher gave us like a lot of options. So like you can write an essay, make a music video, or she gave a bunch of options. Me and all my friends decided to do a music video on GMOs, and we did like a rap battle of like who people for like a scientist that was for GMOs, and like a hippie, like an all natural Whole Foods goer that wasn't that didn't really like GMOs, and so we shot.
It was a rap battle.
Yeah,
I kind of want to see that.
I don't want to give out the title and expose myself. I was like in 8th grade, but
that's great.
I did.
Well, anything else you'd like the audience to know before we watch your film?
No, I just hope you guys enjoy it. I'd like to hear anybody and everyone's insight.
All right. Well, I will get this moving. And like I said, we're very excited to watch this film.
Amazing. Skype Dad by Hebrews Campbell.
Give us a second.
In 1 second.
Hey, what's good, my guy?
Hey, what's good, boy?
Long time no see. What you been up to?
Chilling, boy. You know me. Know the
Yeah,
vibes.
you always whipping on that bike.
Oh, what is so faithful?
4 years now.
Oh, hold up. Let's go, boy. What you doing? Oh, got you.
Still?
What? What, you still hating?
Nah. Until you stay home.
Crazy. I know. You know
No.
vibes. Yo, what the fuck happened to your face?
Oh, shit. Alright. So, long story. Remember that nigga Bruce?
Bruce?
Yeah. 6th grade Olivia Bruce.
Oh, Bruce.
Yes, bro. Yeah. Well, me and him got into it today because he was disrespecting this girl in front of everybody, which is still Olivia, by the way.
Damn, like that? Dang, so what you do to him?
You know, quick little 1-2.
Oh,
Went back in the day. Well,
damn, shit, you won?
of course I won, but I got in trouble.
Oh, with the school? What they say?
I don't know. I got a letter in my bag. I ain't opened it yet.
Oh, damn. Yo, you good? Who that?
It's my landlord, brother.
Oh, damn, you straight? I got you, bro.
All right,
I'm
listen.
gonna catch you, bro.
All right,
It's been a
man.
minute.
I know. You know I'm good for it.
All right, boy.
Can I help you?
Hi, is there an adult home? I'm the landlord. I need to talk to the adults of the house.
Oh, I'm 18. I'm home now. What's up?
Well, I tried to cash the check for last month's rent and it bounced.
Thanks for letting me know. I'll pass the message.
Hold on. It's almost the end of the month. If you're late again, we're not going to cover you. Just tell your mom I got bills too, all right? Good night.
Have a good night. Mom? Shit.
Son, what time is it?
It's 9:02. I'm sorry. I lost track of time today.
Manny, I'm a simple man with a simple request. 9 p.m. every day.
I know, and I've been doing it for the past 7 months. I'm sorry, I missed one phone call.
How was school today?
Are you still sleeping on Uncle Eric's couch?
He suggested I stay with your mother's sister. This is cousin Olivia's room. She's in college in the States right now, so I'm staying here till she comes back off break.
All right, hopefully we'll be home by then. Is that at least a safer neighborhood?
It's not the best, but I barely leave the house. I try to stay in at night and in the early mornings.
Oh, it's not that bad. Is there running water?
How was school today?
Boring, routine, drawn out, same old.
Anything interesting happened today?
Not that I can recall. Why?
Take off those sunglasses.
I have a headache, Dad.
Son, I don't ask questions when I don't know the answer.
Listen, it wasn't my fault. Bruce was being a dick.
Neither do you swear nor call anyone outside their title in my house.
But Dad, he was...
10 months I've been gone, Emmanuel. However, you will not be mistaken. In my house, respect is maintained.
I'm well aware of that, Dad.
All right, smart guy, since you know so much, what did the school say? Consequences?
They sent a letter. I haven't opened it yet. Still sealed.
The letter is addressed to me, is it not?
You or Mom. It just says guardian.
My name should be on all of your school mail.
Yeah, well, they probably think you split. They haven't seen you guys in a long time.
I email your teachers weekly. I spoke with Principal Douglas on the phone today. Do you think they know?
Well, it was only a matter of time. Plus, now they want to see you and Mom at the same time.
Why are you just now telling me this? Lead with that.
Dad, I just opened the letter, and I'm reading with barely one eye.
Whose fault is that?
Well, Bruce shouldn't have...
Focus. Focus. What else does it say?
2 days in-school suspension, and I can't leave campus for 3 weeks.
Make it for 3 months. I have your location, so try me.
What? Dad, that's my only free period. And I hate school lunch.
Pack a lunch. If you make it, you can't hate it.
Do you want me to show you the fridge?
What else does it say?
I'm still reading.
Do you need help? I don't speak monkey, child. What did it say?
Dad, I can't hear you.
I can see and hear you perfectly.
Dad, hold on, let me check my connection.
Auntie, you up? I'm going to get better reception in the backyard. Hey. Yo, where you going, bro? Where you going? I don't want any problem. I just want to get my laptop. Well, laptop. Yeah. Shoot.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 480909889 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Manny, son, please call me. The call disconnected. I stepped out for better service, but these... You just seem so upset, son. I really need you to call me back. I need to hear your voice. Listen, Manny, they took my laptop. No more Skype calls for now, bud. Shit. It's not looking too good, buddy. Gotta get to a hospital. Call Uncle Eric's phone when you get this. I love you, son.
All right. Well, I love the film. Yeah, no, it was great. Tell me a couple questions for me. Now, you said it was based on a true story. I mean, tell me a little bit about and I really liked the juxtaposition between what was going on with your father in the film and what was going on with the son, kind of at the end, kind of the pain. Tell me what was going through your mind when you wrote that, and what made you decide to express it in that way.
So when writing that, I really wanted to, because I want to like back up a minute. Like the first draft I had of the script, it was really focused on the son's part. That's why we have the really long shot in the beginning. I wanted the audience to really move like him, see what he sees, like be with him. I wanted it that way at first because I didn't want to see the dad be on the screen. I felt like having the dad only on screen when he's in the computer would really help the audience see what the family was going through. But I feel like I could do that with a feature-length film, but with such short time, with the time constraints that I had, I felt like I needed to include the dad at some point throughout the film. I think I introduced him at like the 4 or 5 minute mark, which is 1/3 of the film. So I felt like introducing him at some point would really strengthen the story, so you could understand like the missing bond between the father and son. The juxtaposition at the end between him getting beat up and him throwing a tantrum is just really, I think, just represents like the really two lows that the characters have, and in real life too. Growing up, I had really bad anger. So anytime I really got in trouble, like you can ask my siblings, my mom, the whole room would just be out of it, just everything thrown. And I think that was also the lowest point for my dad. He did get beat up one time and get his phone stolen trying to get cell service to call us one time. I don't think it was the same circumstance as us whole closing or ending the call on him. I honestly don't remember what exact night it was, but I know he was either his auntie's house or his sister's house in the Bahamas, and he went outside to make a phone call to us, and he got beat up and they took his phone or laptop. Maybe both, but I know it because he still has that laptop. So they took his phone. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely what resonated with me, was that kind of that at the end, that juxtaposition of anger and how it's expressed in different places, you know, and where it comes from and how it gets expressed, right? I felt like there was a lot of that present especially in those last few moments. My question for you, Hebrews, is what made you choose those moments of complete black screen?
So are you talking about near the ending or the beginning when he walks
There's
in?
two of them, right? There's two of them. There's the one when he walks in, and then there's the one when the dad phone call. So I'm just curious, like, what made you choose not having a visual for those particular moments?
The first one was purely footage based.
Okay.
So we had so many lights running from inside of the house to outside to like the exterior. I think we had like a 750 or like a 7K outside. So, and then another, I think maybe a Skype. I really don't remember. I would have to ask our grip Dallas. But we had like two different lights outside. So we had an extension cord running in the door, and the door just wouldn't close at all. And it's a one shot, and we did the reverse, and the lighting was off on that too, actually. So we had to do that in editing, mask it, make sure the light on the different side of the door matched how we had it. Because I don't know if you could tell when the landlord's at the door, there's a light behind him also, because we on his back. So, but then we wanted to film him coming up the stairs. But if you look when he's coming up the stairs, there's no light there.
Right.
So that was okay. And I was just like, you know, we can just put a little bit of black there. We had a lot of audio. We actually had a lav on him, and we had a boom on him. So like, we get the audio from opening the door, breathing, walking up the steps.
Yeah, I mean, the sound was really well done, which that's often a big problem in short films, especially when you're young and starting out. And I was actually I was like, whoa, the sound is all right.
No, he's
sound recorder Olivia Wuffman. She's really good. She's in our third year. She's the only sound crafter we have in our year. She's like on every project. There sends me the files and I just edit.
Yeah, and there's work. There is lots of work for that. Yeah, that's great.
No, it's great. No, yeah, no, Rochester's a very, very good school for these types of programs. They got a lot of talent. We've got some questions from the audience. I'm going to start putting some of those up, and hopefully you can give some answers to these folks.
Yeah.
So the first one was Alyssa Grace Adams. Great film and very emotional. What was the easiest part of the process for creating this film, and what was the most difficult? And since this is based on a true story and personal, was it harder to share and actually have people watch? It's a great question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I like this question a lot. I think the easiest part of processing the film was my dad's lines. I actually sat down and wrote them all out, the dialogue between the father and son at the computer, because that was kind of a conversation I had with my dad. I did get in a fight. One thing I didn't say about the film is this happened to my dad. Was a part of, I did say this earlier, when I was from 6th grade to about, I believe, my 10th grade year. But in this film, he's much older. The kid is like 11th, 12th grade. But one thing that was the easiest part for me was that conversation that he had, because I had this conversation, that kind of exact conversation with my dad when he was deported, and I had gotten into a fight or a scuffle at school, and I called him actually from the principal's like conference room, I guess. Yeah, it was kind of that exact conversation. Like, did I send you to a fight? And I was like, I didn't fight. Like, kid hit me. Like, I didn't even get a punch in. I was like, I'm taking a lot of L's today. But that was the easiest part for me, just being able to recreate those lines. The actor that played myself, Shannon Jones, he actually helped me. He's also first gen, so and his father is from Jamaica, so he was trying to put some of, I guess, the similarities between our cultures together and kind of make the dad and son dynamic stand out more.
What about the second part? Was it because it's such a personal thing? Is it hard to share and watch, or?
Honestly, it's hard to watch. I'd say I probably watched the finished version of this film like 2 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I sit down to edit and I don't get up till it's done. It could be 6 hours, it could be 2 days. I'm just in my zone when I'm editing. Watch it once when I'm done. I take a break, come back, watch it, make sure the sound levels are right. send it to a friend, a professor. Hey, watch this. They're like, it's good. It's good. Okay, I'm gonna watch it one more time. And that was it. I really didn't watch it. Like it's just a lot to watch, honestly. Even my family members, I didn't send them this version. I sent them the first version. And my sister was like, bro, I can't even get through the Skype ringtone because I actually used the Skype ringtone. She was like, that just took me back so much I couldn't even continue to watch it.
That's the challenge in these kinds of projects, right? You know, that you want to share your story of difficulty and pain, but there's a piece of it that you're like, I'm letting y'all in on this, but I'm not going to live it all the time.
Definitely. Yeah, a lot of friends are like, why don't you ever show us? I'm like, because I'd have to bring my laptop and set it up and watch it with you guys. Like, like you're seeing a whole nother side of me that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I have another question from the audience, and then I'll let you ask a question again, Nafeesa. But here's one from the audience. What kind of movies do you want to make in the future? And there's a specific genre that you want to focus on.
I don't really have a specific genre. There's some scripts I have right now that I really, really want to move forward with. Making shorts for now and then expanding them into features like I want to do with this film. But yeah, I really don't have any specific genre I want to do. But I like working on things that promote my journey and people that work with me, their journey. I think I was telling Chris about this when I first met him for this film. He reached out to me. I reached out to him through a classmate, and he was like, I was really interested in this because you're like an African American filmmaker, and I haven't seen a lot of that at RIT. And I was like, yeah, that's why I was so interested in reaching out to you, because I love for my roles, my leads to look like me, no matter what my story is. So I think since I've been a freshman, all my films have had Black leads or stories that highlight like Black excellence or people on campus that are other artists, like documentaries on them and stuff. So
yeah, that's great. Do you have another question, Nafeesa?
Well, Hebrews, do you see yourself writing and then directing your writing stuff, or do you see yourself directing other people? You know what I mean? Are you one of those? Are you kind of going to be a little bit of a are you going to be an auteur in terms of like you're going to write and direct and create your own kind of, or do you see yourself maybe splitting both? I know that's kind of a complicated question. I don't know.
I'm with it all. I love directing. I love being with working with actors, making sure my vision comes to life, like communicating what I want with the crew, with my DP. I also like writing. I honestly want to do both a lot of the time. Yeah, honestly, because when I'm writing, I picture everything. My imagination is like really vivid. Like I can tell you exactly how the shot in my mind looks, what the lighting looks like, all of that.
Right. So you're storyboarding it as you write it, then.
Yeah. And the editing, I also think about the editing a lot when I'm writing. And also,
yeah,
I like editing. So.
Do you ever see yourself making one of the next Avengers movies? Is that something that you would aspire to?
I do not.
Really?
However, the Avengers is kind of done with the death of Tony Stark.
Well, but like a new Avenger, and what are you?
Big budget movies.
We're on a Black Panther film, or he's about to release what is it, a Wakanda TV show with Disney Plus?
Yes.
2021, 2022, I believe. I every time I see something on him on Instagram, I'm in his comments, in his DMs. Let me intern. That's all of that. I'm always there.
Wait, I missed who that was that you want to intern for.
Ryan Coogler. He directed.
Oh, Ryan. Oh, yeah.
Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, he needs to start something like what Ava did. You know, Ava DuVernay started a whole program for folks of color behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Have you all heard about this?
I think I was literally talking with my professor about this the other day,
Yeah.
She acts in Master of None, correct? With Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her deadline is actually on Tuesday. I'm
Okay.
actually starting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
It's on the 2nd of March. Yeah. I've been looking at that.
I've got a couple more questions from the audience. I'm going to try to squeeze them in. So let's go with this one. Who would you say are your biggest inspirations when it comes to filmmaking?
I honestly don't know. Because I honestly, I grew up in a house where we weren't allowed to watch TV and movies all the time. My parents were really strict with the television. So as a film major, even now, we'll be in class and the professor will be like, you guys have obviously watched so-and-so movie. And I'll be like, I've never heard of that in my life. And the whole class will be like, yeah, and that one scene. And I'm like, and I'm writing the movie down for so long. Like, I try to watch a movie every 2 days. And even at that pace, there's so many classics that I think I haven't watched just because the way I was brought up. No shade to my parents or anything. I love them. But like for my major, there's just a lot. I think that I want to catch up on. I'd say, honestly, Ryan Coogler is one. Obviously, Spike Lee. That is different. Everything he does, I love that he breaks like all the rules, and you can't really say anything about it because it's Spike Lee.
It's Spike Lee. Well, no, and I find it very interesting. I think people don't always remember that he made his first film on his own money. He decided to max out all of his credit cards to the tune of $100,000 and made Do the Right Thing. And
and with his friends, with his boys.
Yeah. School. That's what I mean. He just decided, this is what I'm going to do. And he did. And obviously he was a talented film student before that. And it wasn't like he didn't have any training, but a lot of times you have to decide, this is what I'm going to do. And you have to jump in the water and see how it works out. So
and really make the decision that this is my voice, right, Chris?
Right.
Like,
I think that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I want to say what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 2 more questions I want to ask. So let me get them both in, or that are from the audience. And I appreciate the questions. The first here, where do you think you'll branch out after college to build your career?
So honestly, I want to go back to Texas or LA. I've really been thinking heavily about Atlanta. I know Tyler Perry just built a studio out there and film in Atlanta is really
There's a lot of work out there right now.
Yeah. That's a lot of work and a lot of stuff for people like you. So that would be great. Let's see here. And then this one here, obviously, is one I usually ask, but I think it's great. Are you planning your next project, and how can we view and support it?
I am. My next project, I don't really want to go into all of the details, but I'm excited about it.
How can we support it, Hebrews?
Support it. I will be making, so I can just give them my Instagram. I'm going to be making, like, basically just making a bunch of posts for it as the year goes on. So my next big film is going to be my senior capstone. It's a project I need to basically graduate. I want it to be more than that too. It's kind of what I'm also submitting on the 2nd to that program you were talking about. We can only, again, we have limitations in film school. So I'm writing it as a feature, and then I'm gonna write it as a short film, and then do the short film as my feature, and hopefully I can get the short film as my capstone, and hopefully get the feature picked up. But yeah, hopefully I can just put up updates, and I know I'm going to be making a GoFundMe, so my budget on my short on the short bigger than what my last one's about.
All right. So what's your Insta?
It is hashtag. It is actually hashtag the king.
Yep. Oh shoot, I should have had that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
What's your handle on Instagram?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Hashtag the king. You can have a handle. I'm old.
I spelled it out.
Okay, don't tell nobody, but I'm old. I didn't know you could do that.
No, he just spelled out hashtag the king, and that's how he rolls. You know, he doesn't put it out like that. That's what he is. It is what it is. Hey, this is fantastic. We're really excited and happy that you came and shared your film with us.
Yeah.
It really, I think it was a great film. I think you're a very talented filmmaker, and I think you have a voice that needs to be heard. Certainly, we will follow your career, and hopefully in a year or so, we'll get another opportunity to see you again with your newest work. So
Yeah.
with that, please join us next month. It'll be Sunday, March 28th. We are talking to some folks whose films recently played Sundance. I can't give them away because we're still working on details, but we are hopeful that that we'll be talking to some filmmakers like that next week, and we hope that you'll join us. Anything before we wrap up, Nafeesa?
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. And it's so lovely to meet you, Hebrews. I really look forward to watching your career on the rise.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
Well, hey, with that, we will wrap up. Thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you again next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.